Alright, hi guys, it's Cambrian. I just finished watching Andor, episode 6, and it was excellent. It was excellent. It had almost all the elements that were missing. A little bit of the humor popped in, but in the form of thing in surprises happening, where you get a chuckle out of, hey, that was cool. You get that kind of moment, and there wasn't any humor to ruin the mood of what's been building at all. But my question is this: is it too little, too late? This was really good. The build-up was decent, but we're still dealing with 6 episodes, and this is the one that has the action. This is the one that, like, one thing I will note, like, this is fresh for me. I just finished watching this seconds ago, so I'm going to take a comparison here between The Last Jedi and this episode for one specific thing, as it is just popping to mind. Spectacle has to serve a purpose that is in line with the story. I'm also going to be drawing upon Doctor Who here. The brilliance of the plan of the heist, even though it cost them a couple of people. The brilliance of the plan of the heist was using the environmental event as part of the escape plan. That was great. And where did we see that before? Or where have fans seen that before? Doctor Who. When River Song and Peter Capaldi's Doctor were on board the ship, and they were stealing something and trying to get away with it. Or River was stealing something and trying to get away with it. And it turned out that she had gone into the past. This event was stealing from the past, as this was like a cruise ship in space, and it was about to have its Titanic moment as a meteor is about to strike it. Or something like that. I don't remember specifically. It's been a little while since I watched the episode. But that was the brilliance of the plan. So well done to Tony Gilroy and his writers for coming up with that. That was nice and sweet. I like that. I like the fact that we see staying with spectacle so I don't throw myself off track. I do tend to go on tangents. The spectacle in TLJ with the ship going to hyperspace with, Admiral whatnot, holdout, that's been criticized to whatnot, but what's sold, like, the story reasons for that were garbage, while the VFX did all the work, quote unquote work, in selling the story. The story was so bad that it required the one good thing about the Disney sequels was the quality of the visuals, the technical prowess at hand, at Lucasfilm and Disney's command. That's what validates so many people's that are fans of those things, is because of that. They're sold on the VFX because it is a visual medium to tell the story through, not just through words. But inexperience has a tendency to be taught that the wow factor is the story when it's not. that's a part of why TLJ failed. That's a part of why all the sequel trilogy failed. Even though the first one was fun, it was just a remake of the original, and that was just pathetic in and of itself. But the technical prowess, Star Wars had never looked better. A decent use of practical sets mixed in with some CGI, you got a Star Wars performance. But it's the visuals that sold everything, and the nostalgia. Here in Andor, the whole meteor shower bit, it was beautiful, was stunning to behold. Absolutely stunning to behold. So what I did enjoy about that was it was very much like going to a pagan festival, or hippie festival, if you're not sure what pagan is. A lot of singing and dancing around a fire at night because they find it fun, and it can be a spiritual experience, and you add in a celestial event like that, and wow. So all the notes were hit. It was a beautiful it was kind of like the movie Heat, and that was a decent heist movie. This had a similar tone to that. So well done on that. The downside is that it took so long to get here. That's my only criticism of the show. It's a slog to get to this point. And Star Wars, any Anglo Star Wars, even deep and dark like this, has to have a Star Wars pace at the very least, which means you have to get to some stuff. And again, those early, the first 5 episodes, for me, were totally engrossing. But if you take this out of it, then it was a completely perfect show. But you put this into it, and that's the setting it's in. That's the expectation of the adventure throughout. Now people are going to sit there and say, well, periods of the Star Wars movies were a little slow. Well, but they've got X amount of time to tell their story in. So they got to hit all those beats, the highs and lows. Here, you get to spread it out, but you have to have the weekly reason for people to come back. Soap operas have been doing this forever. The end of the episode, cliffhangers for all the different drama going on, so that the people will tune in for the next episode to see it play out. And it doesn't matter where that is, be it North American soap operas or British soap, UK soap operas, or soap operas from anywhere. There's he said, or he said this, or she said that, this person did this, or this person did that, and it's a reason to find out what the consequences of those actions and choices are going to be the next episode. Here, it's a slow burn. And while the action of the episode was fantastic, along with Andor popping the guy at the end. I shouldn't have said that, but I did. Oops, sorry. First reaction. He encompassed the kind of, you see him kind of become that character we saw in the opening scenes of Rogue One, where he pops a guy as well. Where he's able to go, this person has become a threat to what I came here for in the first place, and he's not, and because of this, he's not sure if who he can trust. So from here, I'm sure Luthen will be able to get a hold of him again. So we're going to see Luthen again fairly soon, because he's going to have more work for him to do. So, as this is a 12 episode run, that means that could infer another 5 episodes, another 5 episode slog build up to episode 12 finale. That's like this. I hope not. This was a fantastic episode. It really was. That alien doctor, I'm like, where's the aliens? Well, there's one. 4 arms. Yeah. That was really good. And it was nearly an hour. Just imagine if they had, if they shot for an hour with every episode. Because it's not commercial television. I know they want to insert this that kind of garbage in here, but so much, like, this was needed. This episode had to be the downside act. The slow one build up, the anticipatory, or the anticipation for what happens. Like, that's the reason why the young guy who died had to couldn't sleep. This is the night before, but this stuff up here, this had a little bit of action, but more just people running around and the escape with Cassian from Cassian dropping off, and then there's this was slow, and this was my biggest disappointment for the start of this series. The flashbacks really slowed this down, and we still haven't had the answer yet with those few flashbacks as to why he said in Rogue One that he had been in this since he was 6 years old. Because from this point, he's been in it since he was 10 or 12, or maybe even 13. And that boy, for young Cassian, not 6. This is a 6-year-old here in the house, and he is he would not be doing any of that. So, yeah. Again, excellent episode. Well done. But this took too long. If they had been the full hour episodes, they could have done it in 3. 4 if you wanted to stretch it out just a little bit. But 6 episodes to find, to 5 episodes to slog through to get to the action. The baddest ass right there in front. The cold-hearted killer and all this kind of thing, and she shoots one person, and we don't even know what happened to her. She's still stuck at the base. I didn't see anything happen to her. I didn't see her try to catch up. I didn't see any of that, so we don't know what's happened to her. So there's and that just popped into my head that she hasn't gotten out of here unless she's gonna kill herself or some BS. What was her escape plan? We didn't see that play out because she should have been there with the doctor and all this kind of thing. She should have been a threat to to Andor, to Cassian. If he walks in there, it's hard to say what's what. But yeah, so excellent job. The build-up was a great build-up. If this hadn't been a Star Wars story, then nobody would have cared. The idea of the pace and stuff, the reason why everybody is complaining about the lack of action and it being boring is because, well, this is Star Wars. You gotta have some gradient of action in each one, and I still keep coming back to here. The opening of this episode should have been him stealing that Imperial box, because that was the MacGuffin. That was the better MacGuffin to get him off world than a couple of low-level street police getting knocked off. That is like a municipal level thing. The box would be comparably a federal level crime. So that's going to bring in down some heat. Now, finally, the strings get pulled together, and we see the Imperial reaction at the end of the episode. And great. Okay, now the feds are involved. Shit's going to pop off, and not just the feds, but we're talking Homeland Security. So, these are the comparisons here. You got Imperial DHS now snapping to attention, and they're going to be looking for, now the heat is on, but that's the gap. The bigger MacGuffin got discarded or devalued as a test. It's just kind of boggles the mind a little bit. Anyway, I don't want to drag this on for too much, where I am already 16 minutes in and rambling kind of, almost incoherently. But, yeah. So, excellent episode. The seriousness for the tone of the show has been maintained throughout. I saw one person put a video up, and the thumbnail was like, okay, K2SO is the missing ingredient, and I think that should be, I would be focusing on that. I would get K2SO into the show as soon as possible. That's the element that's needed. His sarcasm is the humor this show needs. So I think that should be the next priority. I don't know what they have planned in store next. I know it we're seeing some brilliance in the writing. We're not talking genius level or anything like that, but we are talking some good, really decent creative chops. Yes, they're trying off of a couple of other ideas that have, at least haven't happened too often. But there's been a few movies that have dealt with the large event to distract or be the other MacGuffin while people go after a prize in an environment that shouldn't be, conducive to surviving situationally. For the fact that it was a heist, for the amount of shots fired, the amount of bodies dropped, this kind of thing, it was proportionate to a heist, action movie. I appreciate that, but that shouldn't have taken this long to get up to. Yes, there are future threats, so we're gonna see this guy. We're gonna see this guy again at some point, because things are gonna pop off. But because that'll be the news of that will spread, and if Cassian's image comes up as a suspect image, then that's really going to drive him. That's really going to drive this guy here. So he might turn into a bounty hunter or something. Wouldn't that be hilarious if he was like Dengar or something? Yeah, who knows? I can see him taking on being a bounty hunter if he's not going to be into a uniform again. But if he is into a uniform, he'll come forward. I have information on this guy. Not current, but we can trace something back to a source. So he can offer up a suspect because of the region of which these events happened. Anyway, we'll see that play out. It's good to see a little Doctor Who. Spectacle used not for the sake of spectacle, where it actually has a purpose to the story. That is the thing. That's like what Tolkien knew when you in Fellowship of the Ring when you first go in, when they go into damn it, why am I drawing a blank? Because it's late. The Mines of Moria, and you see the Great Hall just before before all the orcs and shit show up, and you see the hall as he lights it up, and you see it just stretch. That was something Tolkien understood. He showed this grand. He describes this grand hall with all these giant pillars and stuff that just dwarf anyone who walks through them, and yeah, that told volumes about the age of the dwarves, how much of the mountain and how much of the mine had been carved out and shaped, and how big a civilization, or the city of Moria, the dwarven city of Moria, what that would have been like. That was spectacle with a purpose that said something just through the visual. And here in episode 6, that meteor shower, multicolored stuff, that was cool. At first I thought it was a VFX screw up, going from red, and then you see a couple of green ones as it's about to pop up. You're like, what the hell? And then later on you see some blues and some pinks, and so that was, it was beautiful. Bright yellows. Yeah, well done. So well done. That showed us something beautiful about the Star Wars universe in a very tonally bland, washed out, and kind of gray, hopeless, they're really playing into that, but I think it's a little on the heavy-handed side. Just a little bit. Because it suits the story. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit more color. I wouldn't mind seeing like a Coruscant's nightlife, like we got a shot, seeing partially in bloody hell. I haven't seen these in so long. Watched them in a while now. I can't remember. The second prequel. Yes, you can spank me later for fucking falling flat on that. Let's go take a look at the damn title. Keep going. Here we go. Attack of the Clones. That's the one. So when you get to see, for a little bit, Coruscant's nightlife, that was cool. I really wanted to see a city story. But yeah, you don't get to see a whole lot. Honestly, the diner bit was cool too. I like that. Like adapting certain elements of our world and Star Wars-ifying them, make them recognizable. Because people still got to do stuff. And we've been all among the rank and file of the upper classes, the royalty, and all that. So we haven't really, even down to the gangster royalty. But we haven't spent a whole lot of time with the people. We did here at the beginning. We didn't hear. Well, a little bit, but not much. Like, not enough to really be anything. Just a revisit of home. And then, there wasn't any of that with the people. This was all the serious tying of things up. And this was just a New Hope all over again. But anyway, this was good. This was really good. But it's a slog to get to the good part. And it shouldn't take that long under a Star Wars label. Again, if this hadn't been Star Wars, it would have been perfectly fine as is. But because it's Star Wars, there has to be action and adventure, even though this was a mess. This is great. I like how they go from some serious tone episodes like Andor, but then they go for some lighter, more lighthearted fare. But they have their own balanced Star Wars recipe. This was a mess, and it had so much potential. So hopefully if they revisit Boba Fett again, they do what they're doing here. This, again, I will stay with the idea that Andor is an overcorrection. But hopefully the rest of the 6 episodes might surprise us and pick up the pace, because that's a slog to start, and I don't want the next bit to be a slog to get to the end. That was just a lot. I really want to see this stuff pay off. And it looks like they are paying off, Threads, because we've been planning. They've been planning from here. No, sorry, from here. They've been planning from here. So 3 episodes to deal with on planet just before the heist. Like, yeah, it was a slog to get here. The quality of this, and that's, like, again, I'm tired, forgive me. It is a slog. It is a slog to get there. Under Star Wars, it's a slog. If this wasn't Star Wars, it wouldn't be a slog. It would be its own thing. But there needed to be more action going on here. I would have started, like I said, with stealing that box, because, you know, you have him waltz in, but have it be hard for him getting out. That's what it should have been. That would have been the action hook. And then they could have meandered through this, and that would have led to the action of this, and then consequences of that. Next thing, you know, they could have gotten Andor here and whatever I caught up and done it in 2 episodes instead of 3, because they really built them up. And now 3 of them are dead. Sorry, 4 when you take into consideration the commander. The inside man. 4 are dead. 3 episodes, 4 are dead. And we're going to have 2 they're going to carry over, because we're going to see these 2 ladies again. But still, they're good. Bring it on. I like how the fact that it is made obvious that they are, you know, they are an item. But it wasn't made anything of. It endeared, because of the build-up, and endeared them to us. And that's how you do things. Because even though this is aimed at adults, this series, it's still in line enough that it could be that it can be watched by kids who are a little older, a hair older. But because of that, they probably won't stick with it, because there's not enough happening. Now, I appreciate the effort to make this for the adult fans. It's needed. But there has to be the elements present for the kids. And that's another element that's missing. Yeah. Again, I appreciate the effort. It's still like, this is the best episode they had. The entire thing. But the build-up was not worthy of the name Star Wars. There needs to be more action. This was great, but it needs to be more action. Alright guys, Cambrian signing out. Cheers.